Alright, looking back, my 2024 bingo card was looking a little bit more insane than usual. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, not exactly a beacon of democracy, sent troops to fight in Ukraine. Or, to put it in another way, Russia bought North Korean soldiers for their war against Ukraine. It was alarming at the time, but using mercenaries has been common practice for thousands of years. Russia had already leaned on groups like the Wagner Group and the Chechenian fighters in the Ukraine war, so this was not a big jump. If you want to read more on mercenaries and conflicts, check out articles on history.com and Britannica.com for more information. It was reported that North Korea sent approximately 12,000 to 15,000 soldiers to fight for Russia. In exchange, Russia gave them about $200 million and sent 700,000 tons of rice per month. And something called space technology, or space tech. My assessment back then was that the space tech likely meant materials for North Korea's Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Program, ICBMs. It's widely known that North Korea has some nuclear capability, but no reliable way to deliver it to their enemies. If Russia provided the materials and the support, North Korea could become a real threat to the West, disrupting the balance of power in that region. From a strategic level, it was a solid trade for North Korea, assuming I was right about the space tech. During the Korean War, the US took metal over meat mentality, expending munitions and tech over personnel or people. Human life is worth more in Western countries compared to some Eastern ones, historically speaking. To this day, North Korean doctrine, per open source information, is to send wave after wave of troops with limited equipment. Soldiers are expected to pick up gear from their fallen brethren to keep fighting. It's like the Tyranids in Warhammer 40k, just yeeting soldiers into a meat grinder rather than losing equipment. Those 12,000 or 15,000 soldiers were meaningless to Kim Jong-un and his cronies for the strategic return that they got, even if all 12,000 were sent to the forever eat. On the battlefield, I doubt Kim Jong-un would have cared. Russia gained a steady stream of semi-trained soldiers they could expend without fuss back home. They took a page from the US Forever Wars playbook in the Middle East. The US realized folks back home don't care as much when a contractor dies, and there's no obligation to report those deaths publicly, from what I can tell. This is a huge PR move that reduced pressure from the media, though the media barely does anything anymore. In Afghanistan, for example, many thought it was calm due to fewer reported deaths and wounded. In fact, it was quite the opposite. 2019 saw 10th Special Forces Group and their units and associated units lose over 25 people. Now, all deaths are tragic, but a Green Beret or Special Operations soldier getting KIA'd is rarer than conventional units like the 82nd Airborne. Afghanistan is still and was very much a hot war zone. Russia wasn't doing so great on PR-wise on the home front back in 2024. Using your own citizens as cannon fodder in a war with a neighbor is not a great look. But 12,000 to 15,000 DPRK soldiers? No one was really going to miss them. The Russian military didn't have to pay them or report their deaths or care like they do with their own citizens. It was a massive strategic win for Putin, learning from the US war machine. Fast forward to 2025 and President Trump, now the 47th president, stepped into this mess with his deal-making hat on. Just days after his inauguration, he was already pushing for peace talks to end the Russian-Ukraine war. I remember hearing about his meeting with Putin in Alaska that took place on the 15th of August. They stood on a navy blue platform labeled Alaska 2025, shaking hands while reporters shouted questions about a ceasefire. No deal came out of it, but Trump didn't give up. He said he'd call Zelensky right after to keep the ball rolling. A few days later, on the 18th of August, Trump hosted Ukrainian President Zelensky and a slew of European leaders at the White House. It was a rare sight, 7 European heads of state, from Macron to Meloni, piling into the Oval Office. Trump sat behind the Resolute desk, military flags behind him, looking like a boardroom boss straight out of his old TV days. NATO's Mark Rutte called him a pragmatic peacemaker on Fox News that night, saying talks were successful. Zelensky, though, was skeptical. He had just posted on Telegram that Ukraine wouldn't cede land, despite Trump floating the idea of land swaps. European leaders pushed for security guarantees to protect the Ukraine from future Russian attacks, and Trump didn't rule out US troops helping out with that. That surprised me, given his America First stance, but it shows how serious he is about breaking this deadlock. I've written before on the brutal reality of the war on Ukraine. You can go check it out. And that reality includes massive jumps in how conventional wars integrate cheap tech like quadcopter drones. If this war keeps going, I wouldn't be surprised to see robots like Tesla's Optimus on the battlefield, given drones' successes. There are articles on drone warfare worth checking out for more context. The Russians likely won't get a legion of armed Optimus robots to fight for them, but those 12 to 15,000 DPRK soldiers were the next best thing, a metaphorical equivalent of drones whose deaths are easily forgotten. Regardless, it's a sad waste of human life. Trump's posted on Truth Social about arranging a Zelensky-Putin meeting. He even called Putin right after the White House talks to set it up, with trilateral meetings including himself to follow. French President Macron called it the only way to fix it, and you could feel the urgency in the room there. I'm hoping Trump's peace push holds in the region. Back in 2024, I was half joking about me and the boys getting drafted to combat drop on Moscow or the Suwalki Gap. Let's hope his deal making keeps this war from escalating further and we never get to that point. If you like this video, okay, sweet. Cool. Thank you for watching my recap on the Russia-Ukraine war situation. If you like this video, follow me on Rumble, follow me on X, follow me on Instagram. If you feel so inclined, you can subscribe to me on X or Instagram, where I do post more exclusive content. I'm John, thank you for watching.